Hello everybody, it's the Duchess of Monty Shit Show here again. I hope you're all doing well today. I was hoping to put this video out late last night, but alas, a migraine began to take hold and I had to go to bed. For that reason, I apologise, but there will be none of my usual stunning visuals on this video, aside from the introduction and the disclaimer, as I'm still feeling a little funky and didn't want to make things worse by spending hours poring over social media for images and articles I could include. I appreciate that this may make the video a little less enjoyable, and I know that 1,000 other YouTubers have put out videos on this subject already over the last 24 hours, but hopefully you can take some small value from this one. Before I begin, let me just run through the disclaimer. Everything I say in this video are my own thoughts and opinions. You should look into this information for yourselves. Any images used have been taken from the public domain and social media, and I follow the fair use and fair dealings guidelines. So, as is often the case with the royal family, and in particular the Sharkles, it's another day, another drama. And inevitably, it does involve someone in Monty's shit show. Yes, it's the one we've all been waiting for, guys. The karma train seems to have finally started pulling out of the station. Destination SMACKDOwn. Choo-choo! Meghan, the Duchess of Sussex, the Queen of Lawsuits, has finally seen the tables turned, and on Thursday was slapped with her own lawsuit by her older half-sister Samantha Markle. The story broke late on Thursday night on the TMZ website, and it really does now appear that Samantha Markle has had enough. And to be perfectly honest, who can blame her? So what's it all about? Well, Samantha has filed court proceedings suing Meghan for the sum of $75,000 for defamation of character and by orchestrating an intentional and prolonged smear campaign against her in print and in the media, and also for lying about her background, peddling a false rags-to-riches narrative. Cast your minds back, if you please, to 2016. Soon after the news broke that Prince Harry was dating Meghan, stories soon began flooding the media about her father, Thomas Markle Sr., and her older half-siblings, Samantha Markle and Thomas Markle Jr. The stories were largely negative, with their backgrounds scrutinised and any past demeanours dug up and exposed. At various points, each member of the Markle family stuck their head above the parapet and would try to defend themselves against the barrage of reports and allegations, either through the press or appearing on daytime breakfast TV shows and news channels. The more they protested, the more the public turned on them and saw them as shameless money grabbers looking only to make a quick buck by hanging on to Meghan's coattails, making the most of her newfound fame. And I have to confess, I bought into this narrative too at first. Not long after their engagement announcement in November 2017, you know, the one where they were in Frogmore Cottage and Harry proposed over roast chicken, even though she's a vegetarian. Harry guest edited on Radio 4's Today programme, in which he commented that the royal family were the family that Meghan simply never had. Well, what a punch in the gut that must have been to the Markle family to hear that. Why would Harry have said that? That's not exactly his place. From that day to this, as far as I'm aware, he's never met any of them. He's never had a chinwag with them over caramel macchiatos, never popped round to borrow a cup of sugar, blah blah. The only way he could have come to that conclusion is by basing his judgments on what he's heard from Meghan about her family and her background. Assuming she was telling the truth, of course. She has a problem with that. Most rational people would want to meet their fiancé's family at least once to form their own conclusions, or to at least confirm if what they've been told is accurate. Well, that's what I'd do anyway. But we're not dealing with rational people here, are we? This is Prince Harry we're talking about, the hot-head airhead, although there doesn't seem to be much hair left on his head anymore. In the run-up to the 2018 wedding in Windsor, Thomas Markle Jr. wrote an open letter to Harry and released it into the media, branding Meghan as a fake, jaded, shallow, conceited woman who would make a fool out of not only him, but also the royal family heritage. Knowing what we know now, some people would totally agree with that description. He also urged Harry to rethink marrying her. In addition to this, photos appeared in the newspapers showing Thomas Markle Sr. being measured for a suit and sat reading a book on British landmarks. The pictures were found to be staged, taken by British photographer Jeff Rayner. It was these pictures that, according to Meghan, were the catalyst for their relationship disintegrating, and her coldly walking away and severing all ties, or being Markled, as it's now commonly known. This led to her then penning her infamous Dear Daddy letter. Daddy being deliberately placed so as to pull on the public's heartstrings should the letter ever be leaked into the media, which naturally it was. Meghan has had a long-standing relationship with Jeff Rayner, in the photography sense of course, for some years, and that relationship has continued with him taking photos of both her and Harry out and about in LA in 2020. You do have to wonder why she would continue to be in any form of communication with him, given that he took the photos that contributed to the demise of her relationship with her father, or her wonderful father, as she so often referred to him in her lifestyle blog, The Tig. Unless, of course, Meghan helped to set up the staged photo shoot. That's purely my opinion, of course, and is merely speculation, but it does seem to be a very plausible theory. What was the end game here? Well, one would assume that the photo shoot was arranged by Meghan so that she could publicly call her father out on his deceitful behaviour, reinforcing the narrative that her family were nothing but scum, and thus gaining public sympathy and support. It would also mean one less person to successfully challenge her and call out her behaviour. It's worth mentioning also that whilst Thomas Markle was lying sick in his hospital bed, he received a flurry of text messages and I believe at least one phone call from Prince Harry scolding him for colluding with the press. Highly hypocritical and highly ironic, given that Meghan and Harry like to jump into bed with the Backgrid agency every chance they get. Backgrid being responsible, of course, for the most recently staged photos of Harry and Meghan dining out in Santa Barbara with Princess Eugenie and, I'm calling it guys, Marcus Anderson, the male madam of Soho House, and not her husband, Jack Brooksbank. So, what exactly is Samantha's beef? Well, according to the court papers filed on Thursday, she is suing Meghan for defamation of character and also suing for loss of earnings from her autobiography, loss of employment opportunities, and anxiety and distress due to the mistruths she gave during the Oprah Winfrey interview in March 2021. Namely, that Meghan claimed her family was so poor that she had to work a series of low-paid jobs from the age of 13 to make ends meet, and that they went to the $4.99 salad bar at Sizzler as that's all they could afford. The reality is that Thomas Markle Sr. was a very successful, award-winning lighting director in Hollywood, who worked on Married with Children and other popular TV shows. In addition to this, he also won $750,000 in the Californian State Lottery in 1990, so hardly close to poverty. Meghan studied at the elite Immaculate Heart Catholic School and then went on to the prestigious Northwestern University, and her tuition was paid for entirely by her father out of his lottery winnings. Her car and other expenses were also paid for by her father. Samantha strongly contests Meghan's claims that she grew up in poverty. You have to wonder why Meghan would feel the need to lie about growing up in privilege. It's something to be celebrated and appreciated, not completely disregarded. There are a great many people in this world that don't necessarily like their background or things from their past, but those experiences are what help to shape them as a person, You should never be ashamed of them. Just to throw in a personal example, I am from a council estate background in Oxfordshire. My mum was blind and moderately to severely deaf. Because of her disabilities, she was forced to medically retire at 25, and she never worked again for the rest of her life. She relied on benefits, and if you're outside the UK, you may call them social security benefits or welfare. My dad was blind as well. Well, he still is actually, funnily enough. And he worked hard in his job, but obviously with a house, bills and food to pay for, I didn't always have the trendiest clothes or the latest toys or gadgets. I had only what my parents could afford. But you know what? I was grateful for everything I got. My parents made sure there was enough food on the table and enough money saved so we could all go on holiday to Spain every year. I'm not ashamed of how I was raised. In fact, I'm grateful for it, as it's taught me to appreciate everything I get and everyone in my life. The other part of Samantha's lawsuit is that a series of false statements and accusations about her appeared in the book Finding Freedom. The apparently unauthorised biography on Harry and Meghan, written by Caroline Durand and no one's friend and mine, Omid Scobie, or, as I affectionately like to call him, Scooby-Doo. Let's look at a few of the claims here. Well, to start with, Meghan claimed that she had no relationship with either Samantha or Thomas Markle Jr. and was not close to them growing up. Samantha argues this point and says that she lived in the same apartment as Meghan, her father Thomas, and also Meghan's mother Doria for a time, and they went on many family holidays together. Samantha picked Meghan up from school, took her to the mall, and took her for ice cream on many occasions. It was alleged in the book that Meghan last saw Samantha around about 18 or 19 years ago, and then 10 years before that. Yet photos contradict this and clearly show Meghan attending Samantha's graduation in 2008, a full 12 years before the book was written, not the 18 or 19 that was claimed in the book. An easy mistake to make, right? Well, it is if your name's Meghan Markle. We all know how forgetful she can be. It was also alleged in Finding Freedom that Samantha was uneducated. In fact, Samantha was horribly injured in a rope swing accident, which caused her temporary blindness and paralysis down her left side, which then led on to a diagnosis of multiple sclerosis. But she did indeed graduate and earned not 1, but 2 degrees in mental health and vocational counselling. Another allegation was that Samantha has 3 children by 3 different fathers and has lost custody of all of them. This is entirely false. Samantha has indeed been married twice. She had 1 child from one of those marriages and 2 children from the other. She's never lost custody of any of them. Samantha claims in her lawsuit that this is Meghan's attempt to discredit her, slut-shame her, and to portray her as a terrible mother. A claim that ties in here, Finding Freedom stated that Samantha only changed her surname from Grant back to Markle after Meghan started dating Harry in an attempt to cash in on her relationship and newfound fame. In actual fact, Samantha had reverted back to her maiden name of Markle before Meghan met Harry in 2016. It was printed in Finding Freedom that Samantha Markle created a career out of selling stories about Meghan to the press. Samantha hotly contests this and states in her response that the media contacted her for interviews, not the other way around, and the interviews she did do were in fact done to defend herself and her father, Thomas Markle Sr. There are a few more claims, in addition to those I've mentioned, but those are the main ones mentioned in the litigation. I was asked yesterday as to why Samantha is only just now bringing legal action when some of these claims have been in existence as far back as 2016. I can't answer that for certain, obviously, but if I was to make an educated guess, I would say that until recently it couldn't be definitively proved that Meghan had had any input into Finding Freedom whatsoever. Omid Scobie stated many times that the book was written without any collaboration from either the Duke or Duchess of Sussex, but it was widely suspected that some collusion had occurred, as some of the stories included were too specific not to have come from anyone but Meghan herself. The smoking gun came in an explosive email and a series of text messages that were provided as evidence in the ANL appeal court case towards the end of 2021. The email and text messages provided irrefutable proof that Meghan, Duchess of Sussex, did indeed collaborate with the authors of Finding Freedom through her communications secretary and aide, Jason North. In her email to him, she provided him a list of untrue background points about Samantha Markle that were to be passed on to Scobie and Durand and to be included in the book Finding Freedom. So now we wait. From some of the news articles I've seen over the past few hours, Meghan's lawyers have blasted Samantha's lawsuit as baseless and absurd, and they will give the case the minimal attention which is all it deserves. Others online, such as our friend Christopher Boozy and Perez Hilton, are not much rating Samantha's chances of success. So, guys, I leave it over to you. What do you think? Are you Team Samantha or are you Team Meghan? Do you think it's the right thing to do to bring this lawsuit against Meghan, or do you think Samantha should just let it go and let bygones be bygones, in my opinion, the vain hope that a reconciliation could be reached? Please, as always, leave your comments below in the comments section. Unfortunately, I don't always have time to reply, but I promise I do read them. Please also remember to like, share, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on any future videos. Take care for now, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!